That shouldn't surprise any of us. But they went in there and absolutely obliterated the Connecticut Sun tonight. Caitlin Clark, big-time double-double. And before the game, Sophie Cunningham was asked about her comments that she made.
There are certain unwritten rules in professional sports that every competitor understands the moment they step into a locker room for the first time. You don't give a generational talent extra motivation. You don't walk into someone else's historic night and try to turn it into a funeral. And you absolutely, under no circumstances, put your hands on a superstar's most loyal, most gritty, most uncompromising teammate and expect to walk away clean. These aren't rules written in any playbook or coaching manual. They're survival instincts. They're the kind of wisdom passed down from veteran to rookie in quiet moments before tip-off. The kind of hard-earned knowledge that keeps franchises from making catastrophic, irreversible mistakes on national television. The Connecticut Sun either never learned those rules or they learned them tonight the most brutal and humiliating way possible. What unfolded on that hardwood between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun was not a basketball game in any traditional sense of the phrase. It was an execution, cold, calculated, and utterly merciless. It was the kind of performance that doesn't just end up in highlight reels, it ends up in film study sessions, coaching presentations, and late-night sports talk debates for years to come. By the time the final buzzer sounded and the scoreboard flashed its damning verdict, the Connecticut Sun didn't just lose a game, they lost their dignity, their composure, and any remaining illusion that they could rattle the most dangerous player in women's basketball today. The final score was 123-88. Indiana set a WNBA record with 70 points in the first half alone, and Caitlin Clark, she posted 27 points and 11 assists in just 27 minutes of play, barely breaking a sweat while dismantling an entire franchise with surgical, ice-cold precision. But to truly understand what happened in that arena, you have to understand what was at stake before a single ball was tipped. Hours before tip-off, a seismic announcement detonated across every major sports network, every social media platform, and every gaming community on the planet simultaneously. Caitlin Clark was officially named the exclusive global cover athlete for NBA 2K27 Deluxe Edition. Not the WNBA edition, not a regional variant tucked quietly into a digital storefront, not a limited promotional alternate cover that casual fans would never even notice. The main cover, the flagship, the face of one of the highest-selling sports video game franchises in the entire history of the medium. Let that breathe for a second. In the entire history of the NBA 2K franchise, no WNBA player had ever been handed that kind of platform. Not once, not ever. This was not just a sponsorship deal or a marketing arrangement. This was the gaming world officially recognizing that Caitlin Clark had transcended the boundaries of women's basketball and planted her flag in the broader, global sports culture conversation. She would share the cover with NBA legend Derrick Rose, featured on the Ultra Edition honoring his historic career, alongside the generational Spurs phenomenon Victor Wembanyama. 3 athletes, 3 eras, 1 cover. And Clark's personal connection to both of those names made the whole thing feel almost too cinematic to be real. Speaking with Bleacher Report after the announcement, Clark described the moment as something she never fully allowed herself to imagine. Growing up, she said, you always watch to see who's going to be on the next 2K cover. It's one of those childhood rituals every basketball fan goes through, flipping through gaming magazines, scrolling through reveal trailers, debating with friends about who deserved it. And now, after years of watching others get that moment, she was the one on the cover. She called it cool and surreal in the same breath, which is exactly the kind of understated reaction that tells you how much it actually meant. But beyond the personal milestone, Clark immediately shifted the conversation to something bigger. She made it clear that this wasn't just about her. This was about where women's basketball stands right now, in this moment, in this cultural window that may never come again quite like this.
People are getting excited about what the women's game can bring, she said, and she hoped that a young girl somewhere, scrolling through a gaming store and seeing a WNBA player commanding the main cover of 2K27, would understand for the first time exactly how far her own ambitions could reach.
She also revealed that she first crossed paths with Derrick Rose at a basketball tournament when she was in 7th grade. And Wembanyama? She called him one of her favorite NBA players and mentioned that the Spurs star had once gifted her a game-worn signed jersey that she still considers one of her most prized possessions. This wasn't just a cover announcement, this was a coronation. And the Indiana Fever walked into that arena already riding a wave of emotional energy that most teams only experience on championship night. The atmosphere inside the arena before tip-off was unlike anything a regular season WNBA game normally produces. The crowd wasn't just loud, it was vibrating, almost trembling with an energy that felt nuclear in its intensity. Custom signs filled every section, exclusive merchandise moved through the stands. Fans who had driven hours to be there were holding up phones, capturing everything, wanting a piece of a night they instinctively understood was going to be special. The Indiana Fever locker room was locked in and electric. Every player on that roster understood the assignment. Tonight was about celebrating their franchise player's landmark achievement with the kind of performance that would make the 2K cover feel completely earned and completely inevitable. The plan was to go out there, put on a highlight reel clinic, and send their superstar home with a memory she'd carry for the rest of her career. Nobody in that building, nobody in that locker room, nobody watching from home could have predicted that the Connecticut Sun were about to hand Clark and the Fever the single greatest motivational gift they could have possibly received. The Sun walked into that arena with something burning in their chest that had nothing to do with competitive fire. It was resentment, pure, unfiltered, ego-driven resentment at the sheer scale of the media circus surrounding Indiana that night. They didn't want to be background characters in Caitlin Clark's historic evening. They didn't want their franchise to become a footnote in a 2K commercial or a punchline in a celebration highlight reel. They wanted to be disruptors. They wanted to be the villains who crashed the party, dragged the Fever into a gritty, ugly grind, and wiped the smiles right off their faces. So they made a decision. They couldn't actually stop Clark from shooting. The data in their own scouting reports told them that clearly enough. Her perimeter shooting is practically unguardable when she's locked in, and her playmaking vision operates at a level that most defensive rotations simply aren't built to contain. They knew that going in. So they decided to attack something else entirely. They decided to go after the heart of this Indiana Fever team, the enforcer, the warrior, the player who sets the physical and emotional tone for everything the Fever do on the defensive end. They decided to go after Sophie Cunningham. And that was, without any exaggeration, the single worst basketball decision made on a court in the WNBA this season. It was Anna Morrow who delivered the hit, in a sequence that immediately drew screams from thousands of fans watching at home and inside that arena. Morrow took Cunningham down in a way that had nothing to do with standard basketball contact. This wasn't two fierce competitors colliding mid-air while fighting for a rebound. This wasn't an aggressive but understandable play in a heated moment. This was a calculated statement, a deliberate act of physical intimidation designed to send a message to the entire Indiana roster. The sound of Cunningham hitting the hardwood cut through the noise of the arena like a cold blade. For one terrifying moment, the building went completely silent. Medical staff leaned forward. Players on both benches froze. The broadcast cameras caught everything. The Connecticut Sun thought they had done it. They genuinely believed that moment of physical aggression would rattle Indiana, disrupt their rhythm, and puncture the electric pregame energy that had been building all night. They thought they had found the one crack in the Fever's armor.
What they forgot is that Sophie Cunningham is not built like a normal basketball player. She didn't stay down. She didn't look toward the bench for help. She didn't signal to the trainers or take a long, dramatic pause to compose herself. She got up, immediately, without hesitation, without backing down even a single inch. She got right back in the mix and made it crystal clear to every single person in that arena that the Indiana Fever is not a team that can be bullied, not a team that crumbles under physical pressure, not a team that flinches when someone tries to knock them off their game. The crowd erupted, and the Connecticut Sun had just made the gravest possible error. The broadcast camera swung over to catch Caitlin Clark's reaction in the moments after the Morrow foul. What they captured was something that will be referenced in sports psychology conversations for a very long time.
The bright, luminous, effortlessly marketable smile that had been on her face throughout the pregame celebration was gone. Completely gone. The joy of the 2K announcement had evaporated. In its place was something cold, something still, something that the most dangerous competitors in sports history all seem to share in their most defining moments. A focused, controlled, quietly terrifying fury that doesn't need to announce itself because it's already in motion. She didn't scream, she didn't wave her arms at the referees or throw a frustrated tantrum on the sideline. She didn't do anything dramatic at all. She just stared directly at the Connecticut bench. In that one precise moment, Connecticut signed their own death warrant, and they didn't even know it yet. What happened next was not basketball in any casual, entertaining sense of the word. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare delivered through the medium of sport. Clark flipped a switch that elite competitors only find in the rarest, most high-stakes moments of their careers, and she entered a state of complete dominance that the WNBA has almost never seen at this level of sustained, relentless efficiency. She started pulling up from distances that defied logic. Logo threes, deep threes, pull-up jumpers from ranges that should have been physically unreasonable for anyone on that floor, and they were falling. Every single one of them was falling with the kind of cold mechanical precision that breaks a defender's spirit, not just in the moment, but across multiple possessions, across entire quarters, until their legs stop moving quite as quickly and their eyes start carrying a defeated look that no coaching timeout can fix. Every time Connecticut tried to adjust, she punished the adjustment. Every time they sent a double team, she made them pay with a laser-precise behind-the-back pass that found the open cutter before the defense could rotate. Every time they tried to trap her on the pick and roll, she dissected their coverage like she was running a clinic for players 2 levels below her. The game became a track meet, and Clark was the only one in the building who knew where the finish line was. The Suns' body language collapsed by the second quarter. You could see it happening in real time. The hunched shoulders, the slow jogs back on defense, the confused looks being exchanged between players who had come in with a game plan and watched it get shredded possession by possession. They were gassed, overwhelmed, and mentally broken by an opponent who had taken their cheap shot and responded not with anger, but with something far more devastating. Total, complete, humiliating domination. The Indiana Fever put up 70 points in the first half. 70 points. That number doesn't even feel real when you say it out loud. That is a WNBA record. That is a number that announces to every franchise watching on television, every coach reviewing film, every front office executive crunching numbers, that this Indiana Fever team is operating on a different level entirely when they are motivated, focused, and playing with something to prove. But the game had one more unforgettable chapter to write before the final buzzer put Connecticut out of their misery. With the Fever already up by 30 and the outcome of the game long decided, Sariah Rivers decided that this was the appropriate moment to start talking trash. Let that sink in. Down by 30, record-setting points on the board, clock winding down, and Rivers chose that moment to get in Caitlin Clark's face with words.
Clark's response was immediate, direct, and absolutely perfect. She told her to look at the scoreboard. That was it. No elaborate response, no prolonged back and forth, just 3 words that contained an entire argument inside them. Look at the scoreboard. Everything you need to know about this game, about tonight, about what happens when you come for this team on the wrong night is sitting right there in those numbers, 123 to 88. The referees hit Clark with her 7th technical foul of the season for the exchange, a call that drew immediate outrage from commentators and fans alike who watched the full sequence and saw exactly who escalated that situation. One more technical and Clark faces a suspension, a reality that makes the call even more frustrating in context. But even the technical foul couldn't dim what Clark and the Fever had accomplished on that court.
Aaliyah Boston finished with 22 points on 10 of 14 shooting, adding 5 assists and 6 rebounds in just 20 minutes of play. Kelsey Mitchell went 9 of 16 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, and finished with 23 points and 4 rebounds, and Clark herself, the 2K27 global cover athlete who had already cemented her legendary status before the opening tip, finished with 27 points and 11 assists in 27 minutes. Commentators made the point after the game that if Clark had been on the floor for the full 4th quarter instead of being pulled with the game already decided, she was on pace for 40 points easily. Her teammates missed several open looks on passes she threaded perfectly, which means her assist total could have climbed even higher in a different universe. This was not a regular season victory. This was a statement delivered at maximum volume to an entire league. When Caitlin Clark walked out of that arena on that night, she was carrying 2 things simultaneously: the global crown of the NBA 2K27 franchise and the completely deflated soul of the Connecticut Sun. What happened in that building was a convergence of 2 massive forces, a historic cultural milestone and raw, unfiltered on-court drama that produced something the sports world rarely gets to witness. A superstar playing with absolute purpose on the exact night when the stakes felt highest and the world was watching most closely. Connecticut came in wanting to be villains. They wanted to disrupt, intimidate, and steal the spotlight. Instead, they became the perfect villain in a story that didn't need their permission to be written. They provided the motivation. They provided the cheap foul on Sophie Cunningham. They provided the trash talk from Saya Rivers while down 30. Every decision they made added another layer of fuel to the fire they were already standing in. And Clark, she just played basketball, ruthlessly, brilliantly, and completely without mercy. What this game proved to every franchise in the WNBA is something that goes far beyond one box score or one record-setting first half. It proved that the Indiana Fever is a team that will go to war for each other, a team that doesn't fold under physical pressure, a team with a leader who treats disrespect toward her teammates as a personal motivation to put 120 points on your head and make your franchise a trending highlight reel of embarrassment for weeks. This is exactly why 2K Sports made the decision they made. It's not just about the deep threes or the passing vision or the historic assist numbers. It's about the mentality. It's about a competitor who understands that greatness isn't something you turn on for the big moments and turn off when things get physical or uncomfortable. It's something you carry with you every single night, in the pre-game warm-up and the final buzzer, in the celebration of a 2K cover announcement, and in the ice-cold stare at a bench that just crossed the wrong line. The road to the WNBA championship this season runs through Indiana. And if you've been watching closely enough, you already know that the most dangerous version of this team isn't the one celebrating a historic achievement before the game. It's the one that gets pushed too far after the opening tip and decides it's time to make an example out of you. Connecticut found that the hard way. The rest of the league has been officially warned.